All right. So, if you see this video and you haven't watched the two-parter, I mean, it's very long, but if you haven't seen those videos on Pokemon Fans Cannot Agree, I really do implore you to go check that out. Especially if you're the kind of person that engages with Pokemon and you're kind of negative about it and you feel down about it. I want you to see that. So, Darian's got me scrolling Twitter nowadays. It's honestly a lot better than scrolling Facebook because it leads to things like this. So someone tweeted, and outside of someone in particular that we'll probably cover in the future, I want to keep this anonymous as much as I can. You can look for the tweet, obviously, because they used hashtag Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So they've given up their rights to anonymity, but I'm going to give it to them anyways. So, they say, not going to lie, Sword and Shield looks better than Scarlet and Violet. Now, I'm no expert. I get the fact that the games have two completely different directions when it comes to art. People complained endlessly, though. Endlessly. And they still complain about Sword and Shield. Now, if this becomes the new popular take, then I'll make a full video on it covering tweets like this. Maybe going to YouTube comments. Depends, right? I feel like I'd see it more on Twitter because that's where most of the people complain. Now, there's a lot wrong with having this opinion right now compared to later, right? The first thing is that people just spent the past 3 years complaining endlessly about Sword and Shield, saying, I'm not going to buy the game because the graphics look bad. I'm not going to do this because the graphics look bad. I'm not going to, I don't care about Pokemon anymore. I wish Pokemon was better, etc., etc., all because of graphics. And the reality is, I played Sword and Shield for, I want to say 500 hours plus, right? I never had a moment where I did not like what the game had to offer. In terms of graphics, outside of like overworld stuff, which is, whatever. It's about point A to point B. It's about catching Pokemon. All the Pokemon specific stuff looks great in Sword and Shield. And I have a really big problem with people praising the game that I just spent 3 years, listening. After I spent 3 years playing this game, I have problems with people praising it now. And that's what's been going on. A lot of tweets that I've been looking at have been praising little things about Sword and Shield. Whether it's the fight with Chairman Rose, or in this case, the freaking graphics everybody hated. Now, it's completely within current Pokemon's community, within their means, to make tweets like this, because it's no longer cool to hate on the old generation. It's time to hate on the new generation. And this is why I keep saying, and this is why I keep protesting against people coming out here and making these kinds of public opinions. Because the problem with this isn't just the fact that we spent 3 years hating Sword and Shield. It's also the fact that Scarlet and Violet has not officially released yet. We have not seen anything from the game. We have not actually seen anything from the game. Now, people might, have the whole hot take of, oh, well, we don't need to see the game. We don't need to play the game in order to know whether or not it's good, bad, whatever, right? But we just did this with BDSP. When BDSP first dropped some trailers, they looked very rough. And then in later trailers with the OLEDs trailer, we got another shot, and it looked so much better. It had much more detail. The sizing of everything was more consistent, etc., etc. The backgrounds were better, whatever, right? Now, one thing that Pokemon games have never done is lie to us about what they look like and where they're going. We've seen multiple stages of the development of the past few games, whether it's BDSP, Legends Arceus, or Sword and Shield. In the Sword and Shield trailers and in Legends Arceus trailers, people pointed out how weird the frame rate was for some of these Pokemon. Then we get the final game, and in Legends Arceus, there's only weird frame things for things that are like way off in the distance, right? It's fine. Render distance stuff, right? It's in every game. It's fine. But we've had plenty of companies nowadays come out and just straight up lie to us about what their final product was going to look like. Why can't we just appreciate the fact that we have not been lied to on the quality of Pokemon games, right? If Pokemon games were going to lie to us about what they look like. If they put out the generic, over-the-top AAA trailer that everybody thinks they want, and then the final product doesn't reflect that, don't you think that would be worse than just not liking what the trailer looks like now? You know, people don't think about these things. I also found this funny reply to the tweet. Pokemon Opinion Simulator moved games down 1 with each new gen, including remakes. So first we have Sword and Shield, worst games ever made, and that's going to move down to Hot Take, which is a common opinion that everyone already had. These games are pretty good. Then it'll move down again. These games were solid. Why did they get so much hate? And then people act like they never hated them. You already know that's where this is going to go. Sword and Shield within another couple of years is just going to be a game that people are like, wow, these games were great, right? Because they think the quality goes down every generation. And currently Gen 5 is in the best games in the franchise, easy. We'll be saying the opposite in a few years. These games are overrated. Why does everyone love them and secretly still loves them but wants to be different? Now, I've made my opinions clear on Pokemon games. I think that Pokemon games have been getting better with time up until X and Y. Sun and Moon looks, feels, plays a lot better than X and Y. And Sword and Shield's in a weird reset position, right? That other games were not in. The DS and 3DS eras didn't really have too much going for them. But as the generations progressed, Gen 4 became a bit more lackluster compared to Gen 5. I will not play Diamond, Pearl, or Emerald. I will play BDSP instead because the games are a lot smoother. And a lot of the systems are updated to actually match the standards of the series. Gen 5 matches modern Pokemon games quite well. So Gen 5 games are solid. X and Y is a classic. It's the first 3DS game we got, so it is, by definition, the worst 3DS game we got, but it was never a bad game. Same thing with Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield is going to be the worst game on the Switch for Pokemon. But that does not mean that the games in and of themselves are irredeemable. And I think that's what people don't get. They've always had the opinion that Sword and Shield were bad games. And now they're going to always have the opinion that Scarlet and Violet are bad games. For whether it's the quote-unquote goofy hats that come with the new battle mechanic, or whether it's the graphics, or just something that they think they don't like off rip, right? Once the games come out and we see the final build, we see what it looks like, we get used to the art style, we see what it has to we see what the animations have to offer. I'm stumbling over my words because it's all just very basic stuff, right? Once the games are out, once people see them, not play them, see them for what they are, see all the little intricacies, see all the little things that they added, that's when definitive opinions are made. They're not made based on the trailers. The trailers are lies. The trailers just show things off, right? The point of the trailers is to generate the hype for the games because the games are not out yet. You know, it's not the job of the trailers necessarily to sell you on the entire experience. The things that they mention matter, but the trailers themselves are just trailers. They're not there to give you a final opinion on the game. They're going to give you an opinion on whether or not you want to buy it. Now, obviously, for most Pokemon fans, it's a given. Like, we're going to buy the game. Whether we're happy or we're angry, we're going to buy the game. And that's the problem. We don't need this much discourse over a game that hasn't actually come out yet. We need this discourse when we get into the game and everything that's going on in the game does not feel right, and there's issues and there's bugs and all that jargon, just like with every other game. But it's the exact opposite for a game like Cyberpunk, for example. Everybody knows now that that game was terrible and they had to patch it 800 times just to get it up to standards. But when the trailers were dropping, people were ecstatic, people were excited, people were ready and sold on a concept that was not actually going to be fulfilled. So I want the exact opposite. I like Pokemon just the way it is, where we get these trailers and not everything sells you on the concept, but they have the concepts there for you and they're not lying to you about what they're trying to bring to the table. So if you liked anything that I have to say, I greatly appreciate it. Again, check out Try To. It's it's a couple of hours, but it's a listen, and it's definitely got a lot of stuff That's important to Darian and I in terms of where the community is. I'll keep making shorter forum videos like this, but overall, hope to see you again next time.